Spiritual awakening is often romanticized as a peaceful, enlightening journey, full of inner peace, clarity, and happiness. Movies, books, and social media make it appear effortless, as if reaching a higher state instantly fills your life with joy and purpose. But the truth is far more complex. One of the first and most profound pains spiritually awakened people feel is the discomfort of seeing through illusions, the illusions that once gave life a sense of meaning, security, and normalcy. Awakening forces you to confront reality in a way that most people never do. The lies, the unspoken agreements, the patterns that society blindly follows, they all become painfully visible. You begin to notice the way people live on autopilot, repeating cycles they don't question. You start seeing the masks they wear, smiles that hide fear, politeness that hides judgment, ambition that hides emptiness. And when you look around, what once seemed familiar now feels artificial. Conversations that used to bring comfort now feel hollow. Goals that you once chased with determination appear meaningless. The structure of daily life, the rules, expectations, and rituals suddenly seems like a stage set for a play you no longer want to be part of. This clarity is heavy because it isolates you. The world continues to function as it always has, but you see it differently. You realize that much of what people call reality is a collection of shared illusions. The truth that awakens in you is isolating because the majority of people are still asleep, unaware of the deeper current shaping their lives. You may want to share your insights to wake people up, but often you encounter resistance or disbelief. Many are not ready to see the world the way you do. This creates a unique type of pain, the ache of knowing more than those around you and yet being unable to change their perception. It is not about feeling superior. In fact, awakening often comes with humility. You understand that ignorance is not evil, it is natural. But this understanding does not erase the loneliness, the subtle grief of seeing clearly while the rest of the world continues to operate under illusions. You start questioning traditions, relationships, social norms, and even your own previous beliefs. What you once held as truth feels flimsy. The stability you relied on vanishes, and in its place is a new, uncomfortable awareness. This pain is also deeply transformative. It is the first step in seeing life as it truly is, rather than as you are told it is. It forces growth, reflection, and a reevaluation of priorities. It challenges you to live with integrity, authenticity, and awareness, even when the world around you is asleep. And while this pain is intense, it is necessary. It is the gate that opens you to a higher understanding of yourself and the world, allowing you to navigate life with eyes wide open, even when it hurts. The pain of seeing through illusions is not a temporary discomfort. It is a profound initiation into spiritual awareness, a constant reminder that clarity often comes with sacrifice. Once awakened, you can never unsee what you have seen, and that is both a blessing and a burden. Spiritual awakening doesn't just open your mind, it opens your heart in ways you never imagined. One of the most profound and often overlooked pains awakened people feel is a heightened emotional sensitivity. Suddenly, emotions become sharper, deeper, and more intense. Joy can feel euphoric, but sadness, grief, and loneliness are equally amplified. It is as if the world's emotional currents flow directly through you, unfiltered, and you cannot shield yourself from them. Where once you could remain emotionally neutral or indifferent, now every encounter carries weight. You feel your own pain more vividly, and the pain of others touches you profoundly. This sensitivity often starts subtly. You notice small things, someone's tone of voice, a fleeting expression, or the unspoken tension in a room. These cues, once ignored, now register deeply within you. Over time, the intensity grows. Crowds feel overwhelming. Arguments feel unbearable. Even casual conversations can drain you if the emotional energy is heavy. You start realizing how much unacknowledged pain exists in the people around you. The fear, anger, frustration, and sorrow that most carry silently. And with each new realization, your own heart feels heavier. The pain of emotional sensitivity is compounded by empathy. As a spiritually awakened person, you often absorb other people's emotions without even trying. You sense their struggles, their insecurities, and their suffering, sometimes as strongly as if they were your own. You may feel compelled to help, to comfort, or to offer insight, but this comes at a cost. The emotional burden can be exhausting. There are days when you long for isolation just to recharge, to regain your balance, and to protect yourself from being constantly affected by external energies. This heightened sensitivity can also create a sense of isolation. People around you may not understand why you feel so deeply or why certain situations affect you so intensely. You may be accused of overreacting, being too emotional, or even being too difficult to be around. Yet this sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a sign of your awakened awareness. It is a reflection of your connection to life, to the invisible threads that link all beings. It is the cost of being awake in a world that is mostly asleep. While this pain is intense, it is also transformative. Emotional sensitivity allows you to connect with others on a level few ever experience. It teaches compassion, patience, and understanding. You begin to see the unseen struggles that everyone carries, and you learn to respond with gentleness rather than judgment. You start valuing authenticity and depth in relationships, seeking connections that resonate with your heightened awareness. In essence, the pain of emotional sensitivity is both a burden and a gift. It is the heart opening wider than you ever thought possible, exposing you to the beauty and the suffering of the world at the same time. And though it can feel overwhelming, it is also the foundation for deep empathy, profound love, and true spiritual growth. A necessary part of awakening that cannot be avoided or ignored. The pain of outgrowing relationships. One of the most challenging and often unexpected pains of spiritual awakening is the slow, inevitable process of outgrowing relationships. As your awareness expands, you start seeing life, people, and situations more clearly. The illusions and patterns that once felt normal no longer resonate. Friends, family, and partners who were once central to your life may suddenly feel out of alignment with the person you are becoming. This shift creates one of the deepest and loneliest pains for awakened individuals, the realization that growth often comes with separation. Outgrowing relationships doesn't happen all at once. It begins subtly. Conversations that used to feel effortless may now feel shallow. Certain habits, beliefs, or ways of thinking that you once tolerated may begin to feel unbearable. You may notice how some people continue to repeat cycles of negativity, drama, or emotional immaturity, and it becomes harder to connect with them on a deeper level. The once comfortable familiarity of these connections now feels limiting or even draining. This pain is amplified because relationships are tied to identity, history, and comfort. Letting go doesn't just mean stepping back from anyone else. It also means redefining who you are in relation to the world. You may grieve the loss of shared experiences, traditions, and familiar patterns. Social pressure can make the process even more complicated. People may accuse you of changing, becoming distant, or abandoning them without understanding that this evolution is not a rejection. It is a necessary act of alignment with your own truth. For spiritually awakened people, maintaining authenticity becomes non-negotiable. Pretending to be someone you are no longer is no longer an option. This authenticity often forces difficult choices. You stop compromising your values, ignoring your intuition, or staying in relationships that no longer serve your growth. The pain comes not from hostility or conflict, but from the natural separation that occurs when someone evolves faster or differently than those around them. The process of outgrowing relationships is not purely painful, it is transformative. It creates space for new connections that resonate on a deeper level. You begin to seek people who reflect your values, who share your emotional and spiritual awareness, and who support your growth. The friendships and bonds that endure feel stronger, purer, and more meaningful because they are no longer based on convenience, comfort, or habit, but on mutual respect and understanding. Ultimately, the pain of outgrowing relationships is the pain of growth itself. It teaches detachment, compassion, and acceptance. You learn to release guilt and the need for approval. You understand that not everyone is meant to travel the same path, and that separation does not equal failure or rejection. The relationships that remain are chosen consciously, not out of obligation, and they carry a depth that can only be experienced by those who have faced this particular spiritual challenge. Outgrowing relationships is a reminder that awakening is not only an inward journey, but also a social one. Your outer world must eventually reflect the inner clarity you have gained. And while it can be lonely, it is also liberating, a necessary step toward living a life fully aligned with your true self. The pain of being responsible for your own truth, the final pain spiritually awakened people feel, is the weight of responsibility, an intense and often overwhelming awareness that your life, your choices, and your reality are ultimately your own. Before awakening, it is easy to blame circumstances, other people, or external forces for your unhappiness, failures, or struggles. You may attribute your pain to your upbringing, your relationships, your work, or society. But awakening strips away these illusions. It reveals that at the deepest level, you are responsible for everything in your life. Your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, and the energy you bring into every situation. His realization can be both liberating and terrifying. The freedom of knowing you are the creator of your own life is immense, but the cost is heavy. There is no one else to blame, no convenient scapegoat for your struggles. Every mistake, every unresolved emotional wound, and every pattern you carry is yours to face. There is no escape from your own truth. You can no longer ignore your inner world or postpone the work of self-understanding. The responsibility to heal, to grow, and to act consciously falls squarely on your shoulders. With this responsibility comes a constant confrontation with your shadows, the parts of yourself you have ignored, denied, or hidden from the world. Awakening forces you to examine your fears, insecurities, and destructive habits. It pushes you to face uncomfortable truths about how you may have hurt yourself or others. This process can be painful because it dismantles comforting illusions and requires radical honesty. You must stop pretending, stop avoiding, and stop relying on external validation. Spiritual awakening also requires discipline and conscious effort. You are tasked with choosing awareness over ignorance, presence over distraction, and growth over comfort. Every decision becomes an opportunity to align with your truth or to fall back into old patterns. Even small choices, how you speak, how you react, how you treat yourself and others, carry significance. The responsibility of awareness is relentless because it does not allow shortcuts. The path of awakening demands commitment, courage, and integrity at every moment. Despite its intensity, this pain is transformative. It teaches self-reliance, authenticity, and empowerment. It frees you from dependence on others for approval, guidance, or emotional security. You learn that true liberation comes from embracing your own responsibility rather than running from it. As you face your inner truth, you begin to experience a clarity and freedom that ordinary life cannot offer. You discover that the very burden of responsibility is also a gateway to the highest form of spiritual independence. Ultimately, The pain of being responsible for your own truth is the final initiation of awakening. It is the realization that no one else can live your life, make your choices, or carry your consciousness. It is a profound shift from victimhood to mastery, from passivity to active creation. And while it is a lifelong challenge, it is also the cornerstone of spiritual freedom. Once you accept this responsibility, you can never go back. But you gain something far more valuable, the ability to live fully aligned with your inner truth, guided by your own awareness and free from illusions.